I'm always hoping that I can beat the numbers, but as you know, I think it was Harold Macmillan says, the toughest thing about government is events, dear boy, events. I'm putting forward the most credible plan based on the information that we have.
Hello, Minister. Brian Lilley, Toronto Sun. A few of my colleagues have tried to get you to say that your deficit, that you'll really come to balance by the next budget. I'll be much more blunt and say I just don't believe you. I think that you're going to, and I'll ask you to comment on this. Even after spending $3 billion in Dougie dollars, you could only get the deficit this year down to $6.6 billion. That includes using a $4.3 billion drop in what's loosely labeled other government revenue, your $1.7 billion contingency fund, and a drop of $700 million from government enterprises like the LCBO and OLG. So that before your revenue projections are shown to be low, you're already above the $6.6 billion. So convince me that you aren't already headed towards a balanced budget by the end of the year when you table your spring budget.
I can't give you any insurance because I don't know what the future is going to hold, Brian. I think what I do, and I've done forthrightly, to push back on your comments that you don't believe me, forthrightly that I put together budgets and documents based on the best information I have. Like any government, we always put in some prudence because we don't know exactly what will happen in the future. You don't know what's around the corner, but that's how you responsibly budget, whether you're in the private sector or the public sector. So I'm going to do my best, of course, always to beat those numbers. And along with my colleagues, we're very focused on, growing the economy, growing the pie, being competitive. We're not an island here in Ontario. We compete globally for capital. We compete for jobs. We compete for talent. And the best thing that we can do is put in the conditions for economic growth. You've heard the Premier speak about that over and over again. My caucus colleagues and the Premier and all of us really are working day in, day out to make that a reality. And if that allows us to beat our numbers, well, that's great.
I don't say that I don't believe you disparagingly. It reads like an old style Paul Martin, Jean Chrétien style budget or economic statement, under promise, over perform, as Jeff Gray said. On the issue of immigration, beyond foreign students, we're going to see some kind of drop in immigration. And while your document does acknowledge that inflation and the higher tax revenue from personal tax, sales tax, all of that has contributed to this windfall that you've got, part of that is also driven by population growth. If we see a slowdown in population growth, what does that do to the province's finances?
We're still analyzing that, but let me tell you, we're going from a very high number to still a very high number. Let me say a couple other things. It's been a while since I've been compared to Paul Martin or Jean Chrétien, so and that's an interesting comparison. I will also say, so it'll take time not only for the numbers to roll through the system, but also to analyze, how that impacts Ontario, because a lot of people want to come to Ontario, so we'll have to see that. And don't forget, population growth, does have a claim on services and costs in our province. We want to encourage immigration. We want to encourage people to come to Ontario. And what I will continue to do, apart from analyzing the impacts of that, is we're not going to relent on making sure that we've got the homes, that we've got the infrastructure, the subways, the transit, the schools, the healthcare, the highways, because, when you stop building like the previous government, really built very little and taxed a lot, you've got to, we're playing catch up, but we're not going to stop, so that we can continue to bring, to be a beacon of hope and stability and freedom for people right around the world, because they want to come to Ontario, they want to come to Canada, and I want to be the finance minister who welcomes them to this great province. So thank you very much, everyone.